Boys' sixth episode of its final season ended on its most dramatic note. Hi, I'm Jordan the Nerd of Gold, and I enjoyed this episode. I do think this one is perhaps the more Vought Rising setup than the last episode people were complaining about, just because we actually got an interaction between Soldier Boy and Bombsight, and we know that they hate each other because, basically everyone who worked with Soldier Boy hated him, from what we learned in Season 3. But overall, I think this was a good episode. I liked the way that the legend was brought back and how we got to comment about how the characters have changed, particularly MM. I really liked that interaction there. I did later like how Homelander was just like, get out of here. I see the point. There's no point in really killing you. You've given me something useful. I thought that was interesting because it was a moment of humanity and mercy from Homelander that we don't really see. Normally he would have just killed the legend in a normal case, but that little speech about how basically you need to be ready to be pushed out because that happens to everyone, that was a moment of connection, of an inevitability that the Homelander wasn't wanting to accept, but maybe he thought he needed to hear it. So that was interesting. Then the whole the retirement home for superheroes and the guy whose balls fall down and uses them as a whip hammer or a meteor hammer like Bensei would use. Oh, that was really funny. The whole leaning back into fake TV shows that exist into the Boys universe, I thought that was fun. I always like it when they add details like that because it makes it feel like a more lived in world. And then I really enjoyed the fact that they revealed Kimiko and Annie have discussed the fact that they don't want the V1. I do wish that's a conversation we had seen on screen because that's something that feels like it should have been. But I do like that they have made it clear that that's not something that they want. They are okay with the plan, even though it's going to be mass murder. It is something that will save billions of more people as a result. And then, I want to skip straight to the end of this point where Homelander gets the V1, and that's it's on the one hand, it's a very dramatic ending. It's oh my god, what are the boys going to do? Genuinely, we don't know what the boys have a plan for, because even Sage was surprised. She's like, that shouldn't have happened. Soldier Boy's supposed to destroy it. I misread these people. This genius just did not get people, and it ruined her plan. So, what are they going to do? I genuinely don't know. But at the same time, it's kind of inevitable that it's going to happen because you can't spend a season building up to, is the bad thing going to happen, and then not have it happen, because that's how you build dramatic stakes right there. The bad guy has to win, and it makes it a hopeless moment for all our heroes where everything seems desperate and they have to do something, but you don't know what they're going to do. And that's the fun part about the story, is figuring out what they're going to do. And at this point, the answer has to be Marie Moreau. She is literally the only one on the board left who could do anything about Homelander at this point. Now, I think that ultimately she's going to appear at the end of episode 7, and she's going to remove the V1 from his system, and that will give Soldier Boy a chance to finally take out Homelander, because something else is going to be revealed about what Homelander did to Stormfront that's going to absolutely piss off Soldier Boy and make him want to take away his powers once the V1 is removed from his system. Or Soldier Boy may be able to remove the V1. I'm not entirely clear how his ability works on that front in terms of what he can burn away. Maybe if he did it enough times, he could actually take out Homelander even with the V1. That is a possibility now that I think about that. But I definitely think Marie Moreau is going to show up in episode 7 toward the back half probably, and she's going to be the one who's going to specifically remove the V1 from his system. That's the only logical conclusion there, especially since we haven't seen any of the Gen V kids, but we know they're going to show up at some point during this final season. And I am curious to where this is all going to go, because we only have 2 episodes left, and like I've said before, it seems like a lot more plot stuff you would have expected to happen hasn't happened, but I'm okay with that, because that's the story of the boys, is seeing how they react to this bad news as things keep escalating in their fight to end Homelander's threat to America and people in general. And I don't know where this season's gonna end. I recently just finished rewatching Supernatural, and where they ended the ultimate villain, God, aka Chuck, in that show with Eric Kripke's last big show, they left him powerless and to die, and that feels thematically relevant and probably likely for what they're going to do to Homelander on that front. So we will see. I really don't know where they're going to go, but I do think what happened to Chuck is likely to happen to Homelander, just because I think Eric Kripke likes that kind of in for a bad guy like that. But yeah, let me know. What were your thoughts on this episode of The Boys?